The Chiefs left New York with a 22-9 win. But if you watched the game the same way I did, you probably felt more exasperation than celebration. Let's start with the scoreboard versus the reality. The final looks tidy, but what we saw on the field for most of that first half was sloppy offense, weird play selection, and a line that couldn't protect or open lanes consistently. Patrick Mahomes finished 22 of 37 for 224 and a touchdown, efficient enough on paper, but not the dominant, effortless display we expect. The rushing numbers were underwhelming. Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt combined for modest gains against a Giants front that was giving up yards that should have been our advantage. There was that play where Pacheco ran backward, Mahomes threw, and it almost turned into a free ball. That's the kind of mental lapse and situational confusion you don't want to see. On the bright side, Tyquan Thornton was the one clear positive. 5 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. The kind of breakout that gives you a lane to build on. Bashard Smith flashed. Juju had his moments. And Mahomes once again found ways to keep drives alive, even when protection broke down. But for every positive, there was an equal or greater concern. Offensive line penalties and holding calls killed drives. And Jawaan Taylor's predictability and the penalties he drew became a recurring storyline. You could see the frustration boil over on the sideline. Andy Reid even got in Travis Kelce's face. And that tells you this tension is real and recurring. The halftime adjustments were the clearest proof that the coaching staff can still pivot. The Chiefs came out and ran the football more effectively in the second half, which opened up passing opportunities and is why they escaped with the win. But escaping isn't the same as solving. Right now, through 3 games, the defense looks strong enough to carry us in stretches. They made big plays and forced turnovers, which is worth celebrating. Still, the offense needs identity and discipline. It can't rely on Mahomes salvaging every situation. Drop one word in the comments that sums up how you feel about the offense after this game. And while you're typing it, hit like to show the algorithm we're the place for honest Chiefs analysis. If you're new here, subscribe. We're pushing to 5,000 subs, and every new subscriber helps this content get in front of more Chiefs fans. The more you peel back this game, the clearer it becomes that the Chiefs offense isn't just having an off night, it's facing real structural issues. Let's start with the play calling. In the first half, it felt like Andy Reid and Matt Nagy had no rhythm, no clear plan. Screen passes to Travis Kelce at 35 years old, lining up Isaiah Pacheco out wide like he's a receiving threat, and dialing up cute looks instead of pounding the ball against one of the league's weakest run defenses. That's not creative. It's counterproductive. When you've got a quarterback like Mahomes, you don't need gimmicks. You need balance, protection, and execution. Instead, what we saw was a mess of stalled drives, questionable calls, and missed opportunities to exploit the Giants where they were most vulnerable. Protection was another disaster. Jawaan Taylor continues to be a liability, and at this point it's not just about technique, it's about confidence. He's become so predictable that even national broadcasts had graphics waiting for him to commit penalties. Holding calls, false starts, and blown protections killed momentum all night. The offensive line as a unit didn't look disciplined, and that's been an ongoing theme. You can't expect Mahomes to do magic on every snap while scrambling behind a group that isn't holding up its end of the deal. The running game deserves its own section of criticism. Coming into this matchup, the Giants had given up nearly 180 rushing yards per game, a glaring weakness, and yet the Chiefs couldn't consistently take advantage of it. Pacheco's 10 carries for 45 yards looks fine on a stat sheet, but there was no consistent flow or threat the defense had to respect. Kareem Hunt's touchdown was more about field position than dominance. If you can't run the ball effectively against a defense that weak, how are you going to fare against Baltimore's front next week? That's where the real concern comes in. Personnel use is another major issue. Why wasn't Bashard Smith more involved after showing juice with the ball in his hands? Why did Jalen Royals not even get on the field? And if Travis Kelce is being leaned on so heavily, Despite looking slower and more frustrated, where's the accountability? We even saw Andy Reid physically get in his face on the sideline. I actually liked seeing a coach push back on his star player, but it's not a good sign when that becomes a weekly thing. Kels isn't the same player he was 2 years ago, and right now the Chiefs haven't properly adjusted to that reality. At its core, the problem is identity. This team doesn't know what it wants to be on offense. Do they want to be a spread-it-out passing attack where Mahomes makes magic? Do they want to lean on the run? Or are they just throwing darts and hoping something sticks? Because that's what it looks like. Without a clear plan, you're wasting Mahomes' brilliance and putting him in constant survival mode. And if you're in survival mode against the Giants, imagine what it looks like against a top AFC defense. Want to know what you think? Who's more at fault here, the players or the play calling? Vote in the comments now. Play calling or players? Also tell me if you'd bench Juwan Taylor. Yes or no, and why? If this breakdown helps you understand what's going wrong, hit subscribe and help us reach 5,000. Let's keep building this Chiefs community. The defense was the real backbone of this win. And if you take one positive away from this game, it's that Steve Spagnuolo's unit showed up when the offense couldn't find its footing. From the jump, they took away the Giants' intended looks, forcing Daniel Jones to check down and look elsewhere. That kept the passing game from ever finding rhythm. The Chiefs pressured the quarterback at key moments, recorded sacks that killed drives, and came up with timely takeaways. Turnovers that flipped potential momentum for New York into opportunities for Kansas City. More than individual stats, it was the collective effort, disciplined coverage, timely blitzes, and a front that at least contained enough chaos to give Mahomes a fighting chance. Tyquan Thornton deserves his share of praise too. He was a bright spark and a clear mismatch the Giants had to account for, which helped open pockets and gave Mahomes a reliable target when others weren't getting open. Rashard Smith also flashed the kind of energy you want to see more of, especially with how he looked whenever he touched the ball. The defensive playmakers changed the tone. Multiple turnovers and crisp execution in the secondary kept the Giants from gaining the sustained confidence to mount a serious comeback. This is the kind of performance that gives you faith. The team can grind out W's even when the offense stumbles, but it's not a coup-all. The defense can bail you out a few times, but you can't rely on that every week. Eventually, you'll face an offense that won't cough up enough mistakes. For now, though, give credit where it's due. This defense looks like it could be a real backbone through the season if they keep playing with that intensity. Tell me in one sentence in the comments which defensive play or player stood out the most to you tonight. Looking ahead to the Ravens matchup, this game raises a lot of tough questions for Andy Reid and the coaching staff. The offense simply didn't execute well enough. And it's not just a one-week thing. The same patterns keep showing up. Drops from receivers in key moments. Inconsistent blocking that leaves Mahomes scrambling too often, and a lack of rhythm in the passing game. The Ravens won't forgive those mistakes. Their defense is physical, disciplined, and opportunistic, which means if Kansas City comes out flat again, turnovers could pile up quickly. That makes lineup decisions critical this week. Do you start leaning harder on your running backs to control tempo and take pressure off Mahomes? Do you shuffle the wide receiver rotation so the guys who are catching the ball consistently get more reps? And do you make bold adjustments in the offensive line setup to tighten things up in pass protection? These aren't just tweaks anymore. They're decisions that could swing the season. On the defensive side, the game plan has to focus on keeping Lamar Jackson contained. That's no small task. He's playing some of the best football of his career, and his ability to extend plays will test the discipline of every defender. The Chiefs' front seven has to play gap sound, no and the secondary has to stay locked in for extended plays. You can't assume the whistle is coming quickly against Lamar. He'll drag a play out and punish you if you lose focus. So here's the real takeaway. The Ravens game feels like a measuring stick. If the Chiefs clean up their execution, especially offensively, they can show they're still the class of the AFC. But if the same mistakes show up, the Ravens are the type of team that can expose them on a big stage. I'll throw it to you, Chiefs. Kingdom, do you think Andy Reid needs to make major lineup changes before facing Baltimore? Or should he trust his guys to figure it out? Drop changes or trust in the comments right now. Also, if you haven't yet, subscribe so you don't miss our immediate pregame breakdown and the postgame reaction after that huge matchup. Look, I get it. Wins matter. Last year, this team found ways to win ugly and then got hot late. There's reason for cautious optimism because you've still got Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and a defense that can carry you through rough spots. But right now, the offense is a puzzle with a lot of missing pieces. The line must get disciplined. Play calling needs a clearer identity, and personnel usage must be smarter and more aggressive about capitalizing on matchups. If Rashid Rice and Xavier Worthy come back soon, that will help, but they won't magically erase the structural issues we saw. What this team needs is accountability and a plan that uses the strengths it actually has, not the strengths it hopes to have. Before we wrap, one last call to action. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, leave your one-word offense reaction in the comments, and subscribe to help us reach 5,000 subscribers. That goal gets us more tools to break down film, run polls, and keep you updated with high-quality Chiefs content.